What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another video. So as you can tell by the title and thumbnail of this video, today I will be doing a board review on the Baker B2 T-Funk Pro model deck. This Baker board in particular is different from all the other Baker boards that I've skated. Baker is a great brand, don't get me wrong. I love skating the brand, and I know you guys love the brand as well, based on all the board setups that I've been doing. Also, I did some extensive research on this type of board because I never skated it before, and I wanted to see how other skaters liked it. And then I would go out and test the board for myself. But it's been a month now and I'm ready to give you guys my thoughts on the board. So let's get to it. The first thing I want to touch on is the nose and tail of the board. The board has a B2 nose and tail, which means that both the nose and tail have a more square-like shape. And in technical terms, it looks more like an FA deck. It's rounded, but at the same time, it's not as rounded. So I guess it could be good for a few things. If you're a skater that likes to do a lot of like tray flips, for example, like way back when I was skating, I used to do a lot of tray flips and my nose would be chipped off to the point where it almost ends up like a very pointed nose. So I think because of the B square nose and tail, it helps to prevent that, you know, just has that little extra board on the nose just so that it doesn't end up in the nose, if you catch my drift. Another thing about the square nose and tail that I liked, especially with the nose, is that it's really good for nose slide tricks. And believe me when I say this, because I went out to the skate park one day and I did a bunch of nose slides. And when I mean a bunch, I mean a bunch of nose slides. And from that day I was skating, I was like laying them down like pretty much every try. It has some extra bar where you can put your foot on the nose when you're sliding onto the ledge, and it also helps to prevent the board from getting into the pointed nose. And then the only con about that is that well, I don't think I would consider this a con, but I just think maybe it kind of looks a little bit off because it's not completely rounded. I don't know what that is. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. So I don't chip my nose when I'm doing tray flips anymore because I know that Baker has a good job of holding its shape when like I'm doing like tricks, or if I'm landing my tricks primo sometimes, then like the wood won't chip off as easily. So another thing about the board that I want to point out is the steep concave. Now I believe way back when I was like starting to skate, I have skated steep concave decks, but they weren't brand names. They were just cheap or like unknown companies like left and right that I was skating back then when I was starting out. But I know for sure that this one I was skating was a steep concave, and honestly I didn't really see much difference with the concave until I started doing all my flat ground tricks. And during my research on videos on reviews of how people like the B2 deck, from the most recent review that I watched, the skater pointed out that it helped him with more of his heel flip variation tricks, and I figured I'd try it for myself. So I went out and skated flat ground, practicing all my heel flip variations. At first I was like, you know, okay, this is kind of helping out, but after skating for a bit, I think the results just came out the same for me as I've always been doing with my heel flip variations. I don't think there was much difference that changed there, but on the bright side, I was very passionate about practicing backside 180 heel flips. So on that day I was skating flat ground and doing all my heel flip variations. I was starting to get good at that. But then when I was skating, you know, just regularly on the basis, I lost them and then gained them again. This was also the same result when I was doing all my kickflip variations as well. So again, I skated one day and then did all my kickflip variations, and actually there was a little bit of a difference, but maybe it was just because like I skated like on a good day. I didn't really feel a difference in the concave when I was doing all my kickflip and heel flip variations when I was skating flat ground on those days. I also got involved in doing backside 180 kick flips too. With skating like flat ground and flip tricks, it kind of gave me a few powers to do some more like flip tricks that I normally wouldn't land, but they just fitted afterwards. But fortunately, there was a plus side to the steep concave deck, because as you all remember from the board setup that I did, my last deck snapped within like a few tries. And as soon as I started skating, you know, flat bars on the bigger board with the steep concave, it was a total game changer. Because not only I was just doing board slides, I was doing lip slides as well. I did so many lip slides that I didn't even feel much pressure as I was putting my weight on the board. Anyways, the good thing about the steep concave is that I was able to do as many lip slides as I wanted. As usual, as I was jumping downstairs, jumping down the kicker ramp, I was able to do that no problem. Of course, I struggled with it all the time. I don't know why, but hey, the board did its job and held it together. So the strength with the steep concave is definitely an A+. There's also one thing I wanted to point out, and it's something that I really didn't do with the board, and it was based off the recent video of that same kind of deck review that I watched. The skater mentioned that the board was more better for skating transitions, like doing, you know, rock to fakies, board slides on the coping of the ramp, whichever one, like either vert or like mini ramp, whatever. And as you know, I don't do any of that. Sorry you didn't get to see that, but I did try a little bit of just pumping and just skating around the transition. With everything being said about the board now, because I'm done talking about it, I think it's only fair that I will give my final rating for the board as 7. And this is why. The strength is there. I was able to do board slides and the lip slides and jumping down big stuff. The square nose and tail is good. I have more room on the board. I can do a lot of nose slide stuff. There's more tail on the board to pop your tricks, and you could probably hold your manuals a little bit better. That probably sounded weird, but that was just some reasons I think it could be beneficial. The only major con about it, another reason why I gave it a 7, it was because of the steep concave not being as great for flat ground tricks. But if you're like me, then you would probably understand. And if you're more advanced than that, then you would probably give it another rating and say, oh, you should just practice your tricks more and stay more consistent. You know, I try, you know, but yeah, it works for some tricks that you're trying. I think it just depends on what tricks work for you with that kind of board. That's what I think. I'm going to leave a link in the description below so that you guys can watch the most recent video review of this kind of board that I just mentioned, because this is like my 5th take on saying this line and I cannot get it right. That wraps up the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment what you think about it, and your thoughts on this board too, if you skated it as well. Also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe if you're new, and follow me down on my Instagram. The link will be in the description below. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. See you later.